In this week's video, I made this little piranha. Stick around, I'll show you how I did it. I'm going to cut this section right here, this jaw section, and move it back. That's what I love about sculpting. You just, you can change it, fix it, move it, do anything you want to do. Nothing is set in stone, unless, of course, you're carving in stone. But I gotta love plastic for this very reason. Easy and quick to fix. There's one big advantage to having cut this jaw off to move it. Both in the lower jaw and the upper jaw, I can sand them smooth, and I can put the teeth in before I put the whole thing back together. It's going to be a heck of a lot easier to have them in there than it would be to put them in afterwards. The front teeth, not such a big deal, but the teeth in the lower jaw definitely would be a pain to drill in there. Out here, they're going to be simple and easy to put in. The other thing I want to do is I want to reinforce that this foam is so soft. I just took a drill bit and just channeled out this lower jaw, and I put a piece of steel in there. I was a little worried that it was hanging out there and could possibly be a bit fragile, especially since it was mostly made of foam. So I'm going to go ahead and embed this with epoxy. Mix up a little 5-minute, only the most important substance ever. Remember all that sanding powder we had from sanding the bodies? Here you go. I'm going to use it as a little bit of thickener and filler in the 5-minute. I'm going to just goober this wire up really good. Goobering is a technical art term. It's very important. You must know all of the proper art vernacular. Okay, let's see what that's going to feel like. Stick it in there. Yeah, it's going to stick. Let me get all of this off this paper. Get it down in there, really good. Spackle it on in there. Press it in. Okay, that's going to be just fine because obviously we're going to have a lot of epoxy building up the lower jaw. That's well embedded. Into the hot box this goes, and we're off to the races. Let's address the problem of this hole in the mouth. It's hollow. You don't want to fill the whole thing, although you could. You could just fill it with foam or something, but I, instead of doing that, made this little scrap piece of plastic. Mix up the epoxy. Mix it up. Put a little powder into it to make it thicker, stickier. Liberally coat our piece of plastic. A nice coating in there. Okay, now let's see if we can get that to go down in there. There you go. Can you see that in there? Light's bad, but there it is. Beautiful, stuck in there beautifully. It's time to cut the slots for the fins, and I already did the one in the back, the tail fin. Just did that with the bandsaw. Well, let's get this fin slot made. I'm going all the way to here. All right. Okay. Now that we have a series of holes in the back, we'll switch bits, little grinding burr, coarse grind, and we'll go ahead and ream these out. While we're standing here, let's go ahead and drill the teeth. All right, time to make some parts. And first step in that, I traced off the parts I need, all the little miscellaneous parts that give the shapes their characters from just by tracing them off my iPad. And I laid in a supply of another fabulous invention. Coat hangers from the dry cleaner. Excellent source of free, cheap wire. So what we're going to do next is we're going to make some teeth. Now, I don't want them to break. I want them to be here in 500 years so people can be puzzled as to what kind of humans lived in this era. I don't think having little plastic teeth hanging out are going to be very durable, so I'm going to run wire. Let's just start with some lengths of wire. Want the teeth to have some curve to them, so I'm just bending a little curve in each one. And what we'll do next is we're going to wrap each one of these little teeth with thread, with plastic thread and super glue. And what that's going to do, give the epoxy something to bite a hold of. All right, let's form the teeth. Press a wad of clay and wrap it around, and because of the Mylar string I put on there, really grips it well. It's not going to come off of there anytime soon. And it's a simple matter of rolling it out. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. One of the really nice things about Magic Sculpt is how well it sticks to itself. All right, looking pretty good. Now that the teeth are nice and hard, we can sand them smooth, which is quick and easy, not difficult, because they're small and they sand up nice and easy. To get the inside curve on the concave side, I just wrap the paper around a dowel. And that makes short work of the inside. You can also just use the curve of the paper. All right, when you have it roughed out, you switch from the 80. Notice there's water underneath me down there. I'm going from 80 grit, I'm jumping all the way up to 220. Take the scratches out and to smooth it out. That's about done. Now we just have to do 7 more, and then I can just go ahead and glue them in the mouth. All the teeth are in, so this is as good a time as any to mount the jaw. Little wad of the old 5-minute, without which there is no life on the planet Earth. No happiness, no joy, nothing. Live with this stuff. I'm not kidding you. It's like a staple in my diet. It's like rice and beans. It's the rice and beans of sculpting. It's the base of all things. It's unbelievable. All right, now let's wad this on there. Really good. Let's make a nice goober. We really want to wet it out well. And likewise, we want to wet out the surfaces that it's going to mate to. This should slide right in. Very nice. We get it in there even on both sides, even it up. So you can see where I'm going to build. Now all that's going to get built up. No worries. Well, I put on all of this clay on this body and did a lot of work and neglected to turn the camera on. Go me! To make the fins, I rolled out a thin potato chip of Magic Sculpt, and here's a little trick for you. Here's the tail fin. Let's say we're going to do that first. Let's just put it on there like that and just roll it out. And you transfer the Prisma pencil to the fin. Quick and easy. I can just go around, cut it out now. And boom, instant fin. Smooth these curves out. And of course I can refine the shape and all kinds of things about it. Here's a little trick to keep the clay from sticking to the table or the can or anything else. Put it between 2 sheets of parchment. Parchment is weird stuff. It's one of my favorite things. It's got to be one of the greatest inventions in the history of mankind because stuff just doesn't stick to it. Look at that. It's fantastic. Okay, so now we'll do the same transfer method we did on the other one. Put that on there. Put that on there. Give it a nice print. Pull that off. Look at that. It's like, holy crap. Works like a champ. And you can just cut it out as I did before. You can cut this clay when it's soft like this, but it does want to drag. So I usually do it in layers of cuts. A little easier. All right, now we have a top fin. Making the little side fins for the Piranha, they're pretty small, but all this stuff sort of has the same basic format. Make the tenon, draw out the shape, make sure you curve it in the right direction. You have to have a left and a right. It's no good if you have two lefts or two rights. Looks like a fin to me. Now I drilled out a big old hole in the side of the body to put in the fin, but as you can see, it's kind of rattling around in there. So one of my tricks is I just cram Magic Sculpt down into the hole, and then I shove wire, use a wire, and shove the clay down in there. And what that does is create a much tighter fit around the part, like that. And to mount this top fin, I'm pretty much just inclined to run a bead of super glue around where it joins. Just let that soak in, fill in. Do that on both sides. Again, just run a bead around and let that fill that joint. Okay, that is going to be really well glued in there. That is not going to go anywhere. And we can do something very similar on the bottom fin. I'll just go ahead and run a bead along the bottom. That, both sides. Now let's see about the tail fin. Since we're jamming along on fins here, go like that. Yep, goes about like that. Nice. Okay. All right, looking very good. For this little dinky fin here, I wrapped the tenon post of the fin with clay, jam it in, that, and then I can just kind of trim off the excess like that. And also I can just spackle up the hole. This is how I'm going to do all the fins actually. Just going to spackle the connection with Magic Sculpt. So we'll make all of the joints between the fins and the body nice and clean. Wanted to create a better joint at the tail fin. So to do that, I'm going to wad some clay on there like this. And I'm actually going to do that on both sides. Get this thing wadded on. Push hard from both sides so it kind of helps seal that clay onto there. And then I'm going to make the transition to the body. Smooth that out. Okay. Completed the body shape. Looking good. In order to fill along a fin seam, a body fin edge, I just roll out a very, very fine bead of clay, very long little skinny bead of clay. Get that rolled on out. This clay is not sticky anymore. It's almost at the very edge of its workability, but it's still going to work. And I'm going to lay this on there like that. Just lay it on there. See how that bead of clay is laying on there? And I'll take a length of wire, moistened with water, so it doesn't stick. The clay isn't going to stick to the wire, like that. And keeping that wire nice and moist, just push it down in there. And now just smooth it out, polish it on out, finish it out. That's all there is to it. There'll be some very minimal sanding, almost none, at the joint. Ready to go. Looking good. I marked out where the eyeballs go. To get them going, we'll roll out a ball. So I'd like to start with the ball. Press that on there and see how we do. See if that's going to make the right size of a buggy eyeball. Just going to shape it and push it and get it curved up, and then I just go around the edges with a knife and kind of make sure it seals up along the edges where it meets the body. He is looking pretty darn good, I would say. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. I hope you liked it. I hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you in the next video.